Recording.
We'll
Oh,
cut
we're
this all out in
recording.
post.
Very good. Hi, I'm John.
Hi,
Okay.
I'm Robbie.
I'm Alex. Final part 1 with multiple programming languages. We made a Flask tic-tac-toe game. So John is controlling the screen. If you want to see him, he'll play against the tic-tac-toe. We're going to start the server. It's built in Python Flask. So you can see him play.
Well, I'm gonna stop him. Okay, this is some tough decision making here. So as you can see,
Tic-tac-toe.
we tied.
Yeah, it's a very complicated game, tic-tac-toe. A little bit how it works. So it runs on a Python Flask server. You can see the code for the Python Flask on the bottom left. So the home method is what is rendering this page you're seeing on the right. That returns an HTML page, which you can, and that has all the different aspects of the page. It has the 3x3 grid that you play tic-tac-toe on. It uses jQuery to figure out when you click on stuff. And then in this board.js is where it actually does some of the logic for it. When you click on a board, it runs through and it takes the current index of where you've selected. So for instance, like the second one in the top row, it grabs the current state of the board and sends that to the Python server through Ajax. And then it hits that root get output. And that calls the C++ program for the AI we wrote. There's a little bit of stuff there that has to do with operating systems because we compile it and you actually run it, and then we use whatever it outputs to get the move. Once it sends that move back, we just place it back into the HTML page.
The easy and the medium bots, they look at the current board state, and they don't really think about the future too much. They just kind of determine what is the best move I can make right now. With the easy bot, just kind of thinking, how can I stop the player from winning? So, for instance, if we have a situation like this, where I now have two X's in a row, it is smart enough to realize, hey, I have to play something here, or else I'm gonna lose. So because of that, it's not a super smart bot because it can't actually win it by itself without just getting lucky. The medium bot, however, goes for it kind of goes for a win on its own. Right here, instead of trying to block me, if I were to place, like, let's say down here, it will just go for the win because it knows it's there. A lot of this code was pretty much built in a way so it could interact super easily with the app.py. It's just running through a main function with where is it here? Input string as the current board state and difficulty being the difficulty selected in a HTML form at the top.
For the hard bot, it uses a mini-max algorithm where it takes the current board state, and for each position, it tries to figure out what's the best move it can make, and then for the opponent's turn, it takes the best move they can make, maximizing theirs and minimizing the opponent's. It doesn't brute force to check all of them. It picks the best move for each, and then if it doesn't have a best move where the game is still going, when there's still spots on the field, and no one's won, it'll keep checking all the rest of those positions. Going down and keeping track of the depth of each step it goes down. And then if it wins, it's plus 10 points. If it loses, it's minus 10 points. If it's tie, it's 0. And then it'll pass those back up. And then it'll also subtract the depth. So the more turns it takes to win, the less of a score that is. And if an opponent wins that has like a negative score and it has a fast win, it will be the highest score. And so that's how it figures out where to go. That's the hard bot.
So what's interesting about the difficulties of bots is that we find easy bot, you can usually end up like getting a win out there, or at the very least tying. It's not super. It's kind of hard to lose against the easy bot. The medium bot, however, is a lot better at actually like securing wins or at least getting ties. And then the hard bot, I don't believe we can actually win against it.
It's impossible to win while going second.
In the current setup, the hard bot will tie no matter what move you make.
Or win.
Yeah, or win, because it is just that smart. As you could probably see from my recording of me trying to beat it, it wins almost every match. It's either me being really bad, or it's because the game is solved. Who knows?
It's impossible to tell, honestly. Yeah, it's a very complicated game, tic-tac-toe.
Outside of that, we found that C++ made a very good backend for these bots that we just like let us transition it through Python, with Java, into the JavaScript and then onto a web page, where it'd be a lot harder to do anything that we were doing if we were just stuck to JavaScript or just stuck to Python. The ability to pretty much move between all three of the languages really let us do as much as we did with this project. On the command prompt here, Flask app, we tested this in both a Linux terminal and in Windows. We don't actually own any Macs, so we couldn't test it on any Apple devices. But more or less, we can just start up the Flask server like this, and then it would host the website automatically. And every time we make a move, whenever it wants to start running, but whenever we make a move, as we can see up here, it will pretty much show us all of the get commands and all of the HTTP codes for the user connecting and everything loading in. So you can actually see right here is the 9-character long string that we send back to the C++, which is pretty just representing the board state. And same with the move that the bot selected and the difficulty of the bot that's currently going. Because of this setup, it actually lets us do some interesting things where we can run the easy, medium, and hard bot at any point in time during the match. So let's say we started out with hard bot, and then we wanted to switch it up. We could switch to medium or easy, and it would continue on playing from that board state, but with the new bot.
Questions? Oh, wait. It doesn't work. We'll edit this out in post.
Or will we keep it?
We will.
I mean, you
No,
will,
as
because you're
long as
editing
don't
this video, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good project. Give us 100, please, Lisa. That's about it.
Thanks.
That's
Yeah.
That's gonna be the whole video. It's be Alex saying, "Give us 100, please."